Hello, everyone. How are you doing today? Welcome to our first Lunch and Learn. We are super excited to be here today and especially to be kicking it off on Veterans Day. So, I first like to say a very happy and thankful Veterans Day to all those who have served. I know I have a lot of family members who are in the capacity of serving our country to make sure that we are safe. And that is a big undertaking, especially for people that they do not know. So I'm very grateful to be able to share on today my gratitude for all of our veterans. My grandfather was also a veteran, and he has since moved on, but he is looking down on us on today in gratitude and thanks. So, welcome everyone. My name is Athenia Rodney. I am CEO and founder of Umoja Events, and I am also the founder of the Juneteenth NYC Juneteenth. And we are here today as we are going into the holiday season. I am so excited to be going into the holiday season because this year is way different than it was last year. And what we're going to be talking about today is very much in line with the idea that where we started is not where we're at today. Pre-pandemic was a different experience for all of us. We all were experiencing life in a different way. We all were living life on the fast lane, really not being able to take stock on what we're doing, where we are. And then COVID happened. And that allowed us to see where we were spending money that did not need to be spent, and where our time and energy also was going that it shouldn't have been. So where we are, and I can't say post-pandemic because we're still in it, but where we are currently is definitely in a different space than we were before. And everyone is taking stock and evaluating themselves. And one of the places that I know for myself, I took stock in literally and mentally, is in finances and understanding where my money is going, how I can make it work for me in better ways, and how I can save. Being home for the pandemic, I've spent money because my children were also home and they ate me out of house and home. But we also saved money because we weren't paying for gas to travel and commute back and forth to school. And we, were able to plan out our meals. And so we spent less time eating out, more cooking, more family time making meals, all of those things. So I am going to bring up our guest for today. So enough talk with me. Our guest for today is Renee Rekena. And let me give you a little background story about her. She is a CPA and financial literacy coach and advisor. I actually met Renee at our Master Networks program that we both are a part of. And she is the director for the Bronx chapter. And she welcomed me with open arms, and just seeing her spirit, her engagement with me, wanting to set up a face-to-face to get to know me better, that definitely made me more intrigued and more interested in joining and being a part of this program that we both share in. Renee works throughout the United States to help understand how money works. She has spent nearly 3 decades in various finance capacities and brings those years of experience along with an education and not just one area, but multiple: economics, accounting, and taxes to the table. And if you have a business, you want to be in this space right now, because knowing and understanding how taxes work are definitely beneficial to helping you to save money at the end of the day, to best maximize families' abilities to create happiness around money, and to help us form goals. And we're going to talk about that today as well. Her niche is creating financial independence. That's, I think, where all of us want to live. And legacy wealth, using life insurance and investment products, and partners with other financial professionals to create a holistic, not just one, but a holistic, well-rounded, that's what that means, customized plan that all can appreciate. Renee will show you what your parents and school never did, which is so true. And I'm trying to teach my children now how to understand finances in a better way than I did growing up, and to help you retire as close to as tax-free as possible. And I'm definitely looking forward to learning about that. Her tagline is, I will revolutionize your relationship with money and break the bad habits that you were taught and aren't serving you today. So I am going to bring Renee on screen. Hello, Renee.
Hi, Athenia. Good to see you.
And good to see you as well. Thank you so much for joining us. It is a pleasure to have you. Um, Welcome.
Thank you. I love being with your audience.
Thank you. So you were with us before, and you just blew us away with all of the conversation that you brought to the table, and how you just really opened up a lot of our eyes. I know I was sitting there writing notes like, oh my gosh, okay. And I even went back and listened to it again. So, if you listen to your own work, again, it's really good. So I definitely appreciate you. So I want to open up the floor. So this will be a kind of free flowing. We're looking for audience participation. So definitely, if you have questions throughout the session, please post it in the chat, and I will either bring it up on the screen or will ask Renee to answer. And so far, we have Bridget, who is here. She's like, woo-hoo, Renee. We have Karen, who was also on. She's, I'm here. Renee had a I had a touch time registering. I'm so sorry, a tough time registering. I'm so sorry for that, Karen, but we will continue to work on that and make sure it is a better and seamless transition for you for next time. But thank you, and glad that you made it and you're here in this space to join us. So Renee, I'm going to pass it over to you. But so is there anything else that you want to share, and really just kind of talk to us about how you got on this journey that you're currently on?
Nice. Thank you, Athenia. So, yeah, I know this is a lunch and learn. We wanted to design this as a lunch and learn series. While it is important for us to learn, I don't ever want this to feel like it's another set of overburdening, stressful types of conversation. So that's why we're going to do this during lunch. Enjoy your lunch, sip, do whatever you do, be happy. My role is to make you feel different about money, and it's to have a happy relationship with money. So wherever you are in your financial position right now, we're going to change that. We're going to do whatever we can to help you move through that to get to the better place that you want to be. So, if you're still working throughout this pandemic and the great resignation where people are walking away for one reason or another, kudos to you. I commend you for sticking it out and being able to work through this, because it's definitely a tough time. But on the back heels of that, I want you to take advantage of the opportunity that you still have money coming in, so that we can now shift that to work for you as opposed to you chasing money, right? So we don't like to chase money. It runs away from us. So that's what I want you to do. I want you to start embracing it, thinking differently about it, and then we'll teach you how to manage that too. But more background about me. So I'm Renee. I'm a New York City girl, born and raised here, moved east soon after college, got married and had a kid. But, I worked hard in corporate America all these years in finance, and many people don't look like me. And it was very hard. I'm climbing up the ladder every day. It's a bit of a battle and it's stressful. But while you're devoting time to your career, you don't necessarily get to devote time to your family. So I realized I probably need something different. So while this may seem a little bit formal and professional, I'll try not to make it that way. So if you guys want to engage, that would be awesome. And let's just make this fun. But I'll tell you how I got onto this side of finance. I was so busy at work, I allowed another financial company to manage my money for me. The things that I was collecting at work through my employer, saving for retirement, little things. My husband and I wanted to save for a business at one time. We wanted to have a baby. All the different things that come up in your life that you need to focus on. I was so busy and took my eye off of the ball, I paid them to do it. And you know what? They didn't do what I paid them to do. So they were taking from me $11,000 a quarter in hidden fees. It wasn't showing up on the statements, but I had somebody else independent of them look at my statements and teach me. And what they showed me was that every year, $44,000 was coming out of my retirement accounts. And depending on where you live in the country, that could be a full year's salary for a family. So imagine I'm working hard running uphill on a ladder and I'm never going to be able to retire because these guys are taking my money and I'm not going to get any benefit for it. So thank God that I realized that, I found out and educated myself and allowed other people to educate me. And that's where I became a crusader on this journey. So many of us are not financially literate. That's why we're in the situation that we're in. No blame to you. It was designed for us not to know. And as people work with me, that's what they realize. There's an enemy out there. There are people and big business and industries and a formatted system who don't necessarily want you to understand how money works. So I peel back the onion for you and help you put your eyes on this and that so that you can understand, oh, that's what that means. Let me move this way instead. So that's what we're going to be doing and talking about. And we're going to break this up over 3 Thursdays. So we're going to skip Thanksgiving, but I'm going to give you different information in each one of the sessions. Today is going to be based on knowing your numbers, money coming in and going out. That's the baseline of anything that you do with money. If you don't keep your eye on the ball will run away from you. So let's spend a little bit of time doing that. And then we'll move into what do we do now that we understand where our money is. So this conversation is for everybody. It's not for the wealthy. It's not for the poor. It's not for the people in debt. It's for absolutely everybody because there's different levels to the conversation. So what I'm seeing is that people need to understand where their money's coming from, because a lot of times we don't have a spending problem. We have an income problem. We just don't make enough. And no matter what industry you're in, I'm sure that you don't feel like you're paid whatever your worth is, right? Somebody could always pay you more, or you need to step out and get a second stream of income. So that's not unlikely when you talk to friends every day and you're socializing. They call it a side hustle. Or how many hustles do you have? How many streams of income do you have? Look, everybody wants to be comfortable and wealthy, right? So that's what we're going to be talking about. So one is, what are our goals and dreams whenever I meet with somebody? The first is, do we want to just pay our bills? Do we want to not live paycheck to paycheck? Paycheck to paycheck is a real thing for a lot of people. You could make $200,000, actually $250,000 a year. Annual salary puts you in the 1% in this country. Can you imagine? So you could be making $250,000 a year and still be broke. You're middle income broke. It's an easy thing to happen. So what are we focused on? How do we fix that? We want to make sure that there's some money left over to get through the month. The month doesn't end, right? And then we want to live comfortably. We want to go on vacation. We want to travel. We want to teach our children. My goal, teach my child about this world by taking him to different places, right? Not just look at it on the computer and live through other people's eyes. I want to prepare him for what the world has in store. And there's lots of people who live differently from us. I've traveled the world. I've seen it. I have friends in different countries. We are truly blessed while we're sitting in this country. And thank you for Veterans Day, because you've allowed that to happen for us. And we truly thank you. I have many family members currently in the military, as well as those who are retired. So, kudos to them as well. But a lot of us want to send our kids to college. In our culture alone, we're the fastest growing college educated group. The women inside of our culture are the fastest growing, and they're business owners as well. So we have a thought around education. We want the education. We need the literacy to do better for ourselves. So where do we get it? We get it through people like me and my company. And then some of us just want to save for retirement so we don't work until we pass out. Yeah. That's a real thing also, right?
Yeah, you're talking about the American dream and reimagining how to achieve the American dream. Because I think ideally, when a lot of our ancestors came over, the American dream was not, it was something that they fought for their children, that it wasn't something that they thought that they would be able to see in their own lifetime.
Yeah, I believe that every generation has to sacrifice something for the next. Anybody who's ever left a legacy where their name is on a building, it's on a store, it's on anything, they never lived long enough to feel the benefits of their own legacy. Legacy means you're leaving it for somebody else.
Yeah.
So, whether it's you're a first generation person here, your parents were in slavery, your grandparents, whatever generation was, maybe they moved north in the Great Migration. That's a sacrifice. Maybe your parents were traditional blue collar, but they wanted you to go to college and become white collar workers. That's a sacrifice. Your mom is a single mom and she's got 2, 3 jobs. That's a sacrifice. So we have to appreciate that there's always something that we're doing to make the next generation better. And if we're not, we might want to, look in the mirror and say, what are you really doing here?
I agree. Thank you for sharing that. So you talked a lot about goals, Renee. Can you talk like how do we identify what our money should be going for? And I think we had Angela also ask, like, how do I get to having my paycheck to work better for me? So like, like you shared, a lot of people are working paycheck to paycheck. And I loved what you shared about it's not about income is not the problem, it's our spending. And it's so true. I mean, like I said, during COVID, I definitely saw that my money was going out in places like I had to stop. I had to slow down. So I was able, now it was like, okay, money is not as, as fluent. I'm an entrepreneur. So it's like the world stopped. So money wasn't as fluent as before. So I had to look through and say, okay, what can I cancel? What can I put on hold? And, I'm like, I don't know the last time I used this platform or used this program. I found that I had two, what do you call it? Oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank, but the program so that you can watch different shows and
like Netflix and
Netflix,
the streaming channels.
Right. So my husband had one and I had one. So we were paying twice for Netflix and didn't even realize it. So I was like, so how can we help each other to let our money do more working for us and not us working for it?
First thing is budget. So I know people don't like to keep track of things. Budget just means keep track of it. Write it down, figure out how much is coming in, how much you need to spend.
Right.
Hopefully there's a positive number at the end after you use the calculator. But if not, we'll figure out how to fix that and move towards making that number, the positive number, grow and grow and grow. So the first thing is think about all of the different places where money comes in. Are you working? Are you helping? Do you have a side job, a side hustle? Do you work 3 part-time jobs? Write it all down. Figure out how much you're actually making. Don't just estimate. Look at your bank statements. Your bank statements tell an entire story for you for the month about what's going on. And we also live in the age of swipe, swipe, swipe. So when we go and we're using our ATM card, whether it's a credit card or a debit card, we start to lose sight of the cost of things, right? We might not even look at the register when the total comes up. We're just like, swipe it, done, electronic signature, take your bag and walk out. So we've gotten to the place where convenience sometimes allows us to be a little bit lazy, I would say, and we don't pay attention to our money. So we want to know how much is coming in. List them all out, all the sources. Then if you're looking at your employer's pay stub and you know that you've signed up for different deductions, especially your retirement accounts like a 401k, a 403b, a TSP, whatever that retirement savings account is, you want to list that out as well, because that is not spending. That's actually investing. You're saving for your future. So the title of my series is always Future You Investments. It's not necessarily investment in the bank. It's an investment in you, your future self. Your future self is going to thank you for being on this call and doing the things that we're going to talk about doing. So now, after you've figured out all the income sources separately on the other side of the paper, write down everything that's going out. Every little thing, every dollar. Don't forget about, I round up to Acorn. I do stash at the register. I'm taking out cash while I'm buying the groceries. Write down everything. And this way you'll really get a handle on how much is left over. And then you'll figure out, oh, I don't need that. I don't need this one either. Oh, I signed up for a subscription and I forgot to cancel. Let me get rid of that. So that's a checkup. And I tell people you should be doing a checkup at least twice a year. And I send reminders to people that say, hey, let's do a checkup. Let's check in. Let's see where you're going, how you're doing. anything changed with you, you need to write down everything. And in a separate session, there's a whole section around debt. So regular expenses that you pay each month, let's say it's for your car, your personal expenses, your groceries, your living expenses, with the exception of mortgage. All of that stuff should be written down on a page. Separately, you should write down all of your debt, your credit cards, your student loans. Hey, everybody, the moratorium on student loans is ending in January. You're going to have to start paying your student loan bills again.
Not looking forward to that.
Yeah. So write those down because you need to build those back into the budget now. Your car loans, your mortgage, your home equity loans, all of the things, those are debt. You've entered into an arrangement with somebody who has lent you money and you need to pay that back, right? Over whatever time period it is, you need to list that out because you will lose sight of that. So you're going to write that down. And in the next session, we're going to talk to you about how you manage that debt. But for now, you just write it down, include the payments that you're making each month in that budget. Once you add all of that up, that's how much your spending is, subtract it from whatever your income sources are, and that's what's left over. You'll go through, you'll clean up what you no longer want to have, you'll renegotiate some things, maybe swap out a car. You'll keep that updated each month, right? You're going to really see how expensive your car's out. And then that will be your starting point. That's your baseline. So let's think about a house. When you build a house from ground up, you need a foundation, right? The house has to sit on a foundation. That's the budgeting that we just did. Then the walls go up and then the roof. Nothing goes inside except some support beams until the foundation is set of the outside of the house. All these conversations are foundational. When we get inside of the house, it's going to be, what do we do with the money?
Okay.
So that's step one. Do your budgeting, understand where that is, keep it up to date. And this way, when you're spending in the store, you're like, do I have enough for this? Do I really want to spend this when I could be using it for something else? And we'll talk about the something else. Because I also tell people that you should be thinking of your money in terms of buckets. So after you finish and you've determined how much is left over, think about it in terms of 3 buckets. My long term, my medium term, maybe 5 to 10 years. Your long term is probably 10 years plus. And my short term bucket. And that'll be under your 5 years. So you want to separate money. You also want to have separate bank accounts. You don't want to commingle your money because you forget. You're not walking around with your budget in your pocket. Your budget is at home, but you're making decisions without your budget. So if you have money in separate accounts and separate pools, you'll never run the risk of using money that wasn't intended for that purpose. That's how we start with good habits. Every decision turns into a habit, right? So we have to control the decisions we make so that we can get to the goals and the dreams that we want to have in the quickest way possible.
I totally agree. I started I actually have my money going to a savings account in Queens, like a good ways away from me. So it's not like I literally have to drive all the way there to take out the money. It's not easily accessible. It is accessible, but it's not like I have to put work into it. So it's not something that it's just, and I don't look at it. I look at it once a month, like you said, when you're doing that kind of evaluation. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I have all this money in this account. So it definitely helps having separate account. Because if I see it every day, every time I open up my bank account, I'm like, oh, I could afford those $300 shoes. So it's definitely helpful to share that.
Absolutely. And it's, you know what? It's not that it's inaccessible, it's inconvenient. You want to make it inconvenient for yourself. Yeah. That you're like, oh, there's no parking over there. I don't want to go over there. Good. That's the right place to put it because then you won't be so quick to go and get it. Exactly. So also how you can trick yourself. So some of us don't always have good habits in the beginning. A good habit takes about 90 days, right? I know they say 21, but 21, you get to day 21 and you're like, I made it, and you slide off of the plane. So I would say 90 days. 90 days, let it ride, whatever you're doing for 90 days. By 90 days, you have thrown off all the bad habits. You don't even think about doing things the way that you did anymore. Give yourself 3 months. 3 months is not a long time to do anything, especially if it's benefiting you in the future. So now what you want to do is when you have these different accounts, there's a certain ratio. You want to make sure you're saving for retirement. And this account is in addition to what you might be doing through your employer. 401k, 403b, 457, TDA, they're all the same. They're just different pages or sections in the IRS code. But pretty much they all work the same way. Have some money taken out of your check. They'll put it in an account for you. It's not commingled with anybody else's money. And by the way, during this great resignation, and for those of us who've walked away from our employers, you do not need to leave that money behind. You take that with you and you move it to the next place that will grow and protect that money for you until you're ready for it. Now, there's no tax consequence to that if done properly. You want to work with an advisor to do that, but you don't have to leave that behind. That is your money. You have saved that. It will always be your money. So that'll be another session. That is session 3. But you want to be saving. So let's get back to what do we do with the savings? Well, let's say we have 2 income earners in the family. Mom and dad, whatever it is, traditional, non-traditional family, blended family, it could be. Or we even just have 1 income earner. What happens if something happens tragically to that income earner? We can't pay our bills. I've seen children go to foster care, children be spread up across the country. One sibling is in Alabama, another one is in New York, another one is in California. Children have to move out and live on their own. They have to fend for themselves. The family house is lost. All the assets are lost. Any number of things can come overnight when you tragically lose the income earner. None of us are ever prepared to die, right? But we know it's going to happen. It's inevitable, but we don't know what date that is. So we need to be prepared. So what happens is life insurance, as the next builder for financial independence, steps in. If you have proper life insurance steps in like a cousin with a bag of money a couple days after your loving family member passes away. Now, let's talk about life insurance. What is it? Back in the day, when our grandparents had life insurance, we just thought of it as like a death benefit. Here's a few $1,000s to bury us, maybe pay off a couple of loans. You know, Papa was a Rolling Stone. He left us in debt too. So you needed life insurance back then to pay off whatever was left behind from the person who died. And maybe mom didn't even work back then, right? So she had no income. She was a seamstress. She maybe did hair, something small while she took care of the children. So now we're short income in the family. Life insurance these days is no longer just for a death benefit. You can use life insurance to bury yourself, grow wealth, accumulate assets for any number of reasons, buy a home, send your children to college, leave a legacy. Life insurance can be used for many things, as well as long-term care. Think about the older family members we have. Some are in nursing homes. Some are at home with a home care attendant. Some are just struggling and they can't take care of themselves. There's something called long-term care. Long-term care policies are attached to life insurance policies, and they can pay for those expenses when it happens. So life insurance these days is truly our friend. It's so much better than it was 100 years ago when the insurance companies came around. And there are insurance companies that have been around 300 years. So life insurance is a wealth creator. Think about the Rockefellers, the Carnegies, the Mellons. How did they accumulate wealth? It started with life insurance policies. Life insurance structured the right way leaves a legacy for your children and other family members. It leaves it for your church. It leaves it for anyone you want to leave it to. So that's the second part of our financial pillar foundational speak.
So Renee, we have a question here. So kind of talking about disasters and natural disasters. So you talked about death being one of them. How does life insurance kind of play into, or how do we prepare for pandemic or future market crashes?
So for the pandemic, specifically because COVID is the pandemic that we're going through, it's not really economic. We need to be healthy. And I'll say that our culture, and many cultures, I should say these days, we don't necessarily eat that well. We're polar opposites. There are those people who are super duper healthy, and then there are those who are not. And there seems like a big wide gap in between. So what one we have to do is we have to be healthy. Take your vitamins, your supplements, whatever it is that your body needs. Exercise, walk, have good mental conversations. We have to have positive thoughts as well, because that can make our health deride. Mental health is sometimes driven by financial problems. You're stressed out, you get pain in your back, this is hurting, that is hurting. Then we stop taking care of ourselves. We don't go to the doctor. All of these things start to happen when we're in a bad mental place. So one, let's try to figure out if we're going through something right now that's causing us some mental strife. Let's figure it out now while we're in the lull. We might be in the eye of the storm. I don't know. It seems like it was much worse this time last year. We don't know where we're going with this whole pandemic, but I would say strengthen your health first. That's how you can get through this probably. Then when it comes to money, we're going to be talking about in the next session, you need to be saving. Remember those 3 buckets. What are we putting in those 3 buckets? How much are we putting in those 3 buckets? I would say for now, when you go through your budget, skinny down and get your lifestyle to be lean. Lean so that you can accumulate more cash to go into those different buckets. And even if it means that you're going to keep cash at home in case something happens, you'll have that cash. You don't want to be borrowing in a pandemic. You want to have access to be able to take care of yourselves and buy groceries. I remember when the pandemic started where I live, many of the schools were having community gardens and you could drive up and pick up free meals. And there were outreach programs just for anybody. You didn't sign up for anything. It was just there and available. But who's to say that that will be there the next time around? Right? So we just want to be prepared for ourselves. And it all comes down to money. This world was built on money. Sorry to say, it just is what it is. So we have to find a way to get ourselves through it. But the whole money conversation of how do we prepare and protect our money, we'll do that in part 2. For now, I want everybody to make sure that if they don't have life insurance, we need to have a conversation. If you don't understand it, let's explain it. There's different types to it. So I said that there's long-term care. It's one type of policy. It can be attached to life insurance as well. But really, there are just 2 types of life insurance. There's temporary, which we call term. And then there's permanent, which lives with you for your entire life until you die. So temporary, think of it like car insurance. Unless there's an accident or a death, term insurance does not pay out. Now, I'm not going to say that term is good or bad. It's what's right for your situation during your life. And as we move through life, we have children, we buy homes, we get older, we take care of our parents, any number of things. We sometimes in our lives have much larger points in our lives where we're responsible for more debt, more mortgage, more this, more that, more student loans. Sometimes term is great to be able to make sure that we can cover those expenses while they're running. Mortgage might be 30 years. You might want to have more insurance until your children move out and they're self-sufficient. All these different reasons. There's something out there for everybody based on their life. And as you move through different stages of your life, those life insurance needs are going to change. But I can't say that there's anyone in this world who does not have a need for life insurance. We're all going to die. So life insurance, so that's term, inexpensive, large amounts of money. It's all based on your health and your age. That's how you price any life insurance, right? When you're a driver, it's based on your driving record, your age, whether you're a male or female. So the riskier you are, the more it costs you. If you're unhealthy, the more it's going to cost you. As you get older, the more it's going to cost you. That doesn't make it too expensive for you to get. You just have to find the right one for you. So the other side of term insurance is permanent. Permanent insurance is designed to last you your entire life. Now, I'll say that there's maybe 3 flavors. Let's think about it in terms of ice cream, because I like ice cream. Plain vanilla. So you'll think of, oh, that must be whole life. Whole life was the original permanent life insurance. Our grandparents, our great-grandparents had it. Somebody came to the door, sold them a policy, and then came back and picked up the check every month or every quarter. Whole life, designed to provide you with permanent death benefit, but it also grows cash inside of it. So while this is all permanent insurance is more expensive than term, term is designed, and why it's called term is you pick the term, the number of years that it will be in effect when you first purchase it, 10, 15, 20, 30 years. Design it for your life. It goes away. You outlive it, no money comes back. There's no cash growing inside of it. It's not an investment. It's just there to help you for a short period of time. Permanent insurance, now that, depending on how it's structured, and whenever I say structured, it means that you don't pick it off of the wall like a menu in a store, right? In New York, we have bodegas. Bodegas have a list and they have a price. It is what it is up on the wall. But life insurance has all the different nuances that are specific to you. So what we have to do is figure out, what do you need it for? What do you want it to do? And how much do we want? There's little formulas that you can use, but it can be designed to create an investment for you. So whole life is plain vanilla. And then the one with the sprinkles, a scoop of ice cream with the little sprinkles, is something called universal. Universal is more flexible. It'll allow you to do more things, grow some more cash in there, possibly attach long-term care. And then the last kind is the banana split. It's got everything in it. You have a choice of index universal life and variable universal life. These will allow you to control how the cash is growing inside of there. So now when I say cash is growing inside, it's because as part of your premium that you're paying each month, a portion of it goes to pay for life insurance, but the insurance company allows you to pay an extra that becomes an investment. So you're allowed to grow cash, just like a bank, inside of your life insurance policy to be used by you in the future for whatever you need it for. So let's say my children are going to college and I have a newborn, and maybe I don't want to take student loans. If I have cash growing inside of my life insurance policy, why not use that? It's mine. That's what it's there to do. Supplement me. I can buy a car. I can buy a home. I can buy an investment property. I can do anything that I want to do with my own money. At the end of the day, it still has life insurance attached to it. Life insurance death benefits are always tax-free to the beneficiary. That's one way that you accumulate wealth, tax-free wealth, right? Life insurance death benefit policy. It moves to the beneficiary. And depending on what type of flavor of ice cream you chose, the whole life, the universal life, or the other, depends on that. You'll be able to pass that to the next generation as well. So that's why I say it's a wealth builder. It's used these days while we're alive for many different purposes.
So wow. So I mean, I think we're only on 2. Right?
We're only doing 2 today.
And you have been dropping some serious nuggets. So and I'm already like, oh, okay. I'm gonna need to speak to you about some stuff. I need to make some changes. But so I just wanted to let everyone know the time. So we have about 20 minutes, and I want to make sure that we get through all 6 of the topics today. So I'm like cliff hanging. I'm like, okay, budget, savings. All right, what's next? Like, so get ahead. Let it go.
So I'll touch lightly on the next 4, and then we'll break up the next 2 sessions and we'll deep dive into those. So the next one, and we'll come back to life insurance. Just take a breath for a minute. So the next one, after we figure out and make sure that we're properly protected, we're going to think about, okay, now we know if anything happens to the income earner, family is fine. That's all I want to worry about. Family is fine. Right. The next thing is, let's go back to the budget. That section on the debt, let's really pull that apart and see what's going on in there. How's your credit score? Do you understand how credit works? what's going on? Are you overspending where you think you're okay, but you've got 15, 16 credit cards, right? And you're struggling to make those payments each month. So now we deep dive with, and what's called debt elimination. We're going to figure out, one, how you got there, because to be in debt sometimes is just a mental game. It's, I wanted something before I could afford it. Instant gratification. I didn't understand how much it was going to cost or what I had signed up for. Any number of things could have put you into that place. Maybe you had a sick family member and there was no long-term care policy. You ran through your retirement fund and now you're just using your credit cards to keep your family member alive. So it could be any number of things. We're going to peel back the onion and figure out how this happened. And then we're going to figure out how to get you out of that situation. But not only that, teach you how to not have this happen again. So that's debt elimination. And then we'll go back to those buckets. Emergency cash. We need to know in that short-term bucket how much is in there and what the purpose of that is, so we don't misuse that, right? And then let's go over to the far right bucket, the long-term. Let's think about building wealth and thinking about retirement at the same time. Because who wants to work until they take their last breath on earth, right? We want to enjoy it. And I'll tell you, people are living longer. How many people do you see are living past 100? That's every day, and a lot of people. So imagine that you're retiring around 60 years old and you live to over 100. You're retired longer than you worked. Do you have enough money for that? So, or at least be able to maintain the quality of life that you want, because who wants to live a lesser quality of life after you've worked so long? So that's the fifth one, is building wealth. And then the last one is, now that we've accumulated all of this, we've got great habits, we really understand money now. And by the time you get to step 5 and 4, you really understand how money works. Step 6 is, how do we retain it in our families and not have it all go back to somebody else? Our Uncle Sam.
All right. So I missed 4. So I got 1 budget, 2 savings, 3 debt elimination. I got building wealth is 5, and retaining and retention. What was
retention
4?
Is 6. 1 is budgeting, 2 is proper protection. 3 is debt elimination. 4 is emergency cash.
Emergency cash. Got you. Got it. Okay.
And then build your wealth. Now you're making sure that as you build your house up, the foundation and all the floors are going well. So you can't build the 3rd floor of the house before you build the 2nd floor of the house. We're moving from the bottom up.
Makes sense.
Now, by the time that we get to the end, roof is on, all the floors are in place, the decorations are in and everything, and now we're ready to party.
I'm ready to have a roof party. I'm at the penthouse with the pool on it.
Rooftop garden parties.
Exactly. I love it. These are some serious jewels. And I'm looking for, so tell us a little bit about, so we have about 10 minutes or so. Tell us what to look forward to in the next 2 sessions. So we have our next one, which is going to be the 18th.
Yes.
Right. That's next Thursday. And then we're going to skip Thanksgiving, like you said, so that everyone could enjoy and eat some turkey, and hopefully not go out on Friday for Black Friday. And then we'll be back for December 2nd.
Yes.
Talk to us about what next week is going to be about and what December 2nd is going to be about.
So as we lead into, and maybe one of the challenges, the homework would be, before the next session, everyone do your budget. Do your budget and really understand where you are. So now when we get into the next session of debt elimination, you'll already have all of your debt listed out. Then you'll be able to understand, oh, I should be focused on this one. Let's figure out how to get out of this really quickly. And I'll teach you some concepts about why that's important. So next session on the 18th, we'll be speaking about debt elimination and emergency cash funds. And for where I see circumstances where I can't help people get out of debt just because there's not enough extra cash available to put towards it, I'm going to bring in a specialist. I work with him. He has a credit repair background in business. He has other ways to help people get out of debt and also learn the better habits to not allow that to happen again. And I'm not saying that all debt is bad. Sometimes it's just not serving us at that moment. So we really need to focus on getting our arms around that. So that's the 18th. And then enjoy Thanksgiving. Please sleep Black Friday and Cyber Monday. Sleep all the way from Thursday evening until Tuesday morning.
Tuesday's giving, just giving Tuesday. So that's part of, right? So that's part of saving money, because now you are giving to nonprofit organizations, which is also a tax write-off. So
yes, that's good spending. That's good spending. Think about all of the things and the blessings that you've received since this pandemic started. What more do we really need? Right? And I'm going to show you in the next session what would happen if you shifted where you spent money to a different place and what the results of that would look like. And that will really make you curtail buying something that might not necessarily be a necessity. And then after Thanksgiving, we'll come back December 2nd and we'll do building wealth. And that'll be all about investing. So that'll be, what are we doing for retirement? What are we doing for our children? What are we doing for ourselves? Because maybe we want multiple streams of income, right? So that we don't have to work forever. So we'll talk about that. Yes, very important. And then also, how do we protect all of that? Yes. Meaning the IRS is not so scary when you understand how it works. They have a big book of rules, right? It's scary when you don't know the chapters or what's inside of the book. But if there's somebody there explaining to you the important things in there of how do you protect yourself, use things that are within their guideline, rules and codes, like you already knew what's tax deductible. So that's in there. We'll talk about a few of those things, and that's how you protect your money so that it goes to your future family. Or maybe you want to leave it to your church. A lot of us have a favorite church we've been with since baptism and christening. It's our family church. We want our names on the pew and up on the wall like everybody else. Leave the church the money, or whomever you want to donate it to. But it's your money. You've worked hard all these years. So that'll be the last session.
So in that investing, are we going to talk about cryptocurrency too? Because, that is hot topic.
That is a hot topic. I will not be speaking about that. I'll talk about traditional investments. If that becomes a very, very hot topic with your users, then we will bring somebody else on for that.
Okay. So we might have to do a bonus session then, is what it sounds like. Okay. Definitely.
Bonus. But definitely I would say before, as homework for the next meeting, do your budget. Athenia is going to drop in there how to reach me. And then also you need a life insurance review. And I know that many people will say, well, I have life insurance through my job. How many people lost their job with no notice? Right? Or great resignation. You're looking to walk away. Most likely you can't take that with you. And it probably wasn't enough to cover you anyway. It's usually 1 or 2 times base salaries, unless you're an essential worker like a police officer or a nurse. It might be 4 or 5 times your base salary. But again, when you're no longer there, you don't have it. So best to get an outside life insurance policy. The younger you are, the healthier you are, the easier it is to obtain it.
I don't know. You just dropped so many nuggets that I'm like, ooh. Everyone, let me see. We have people who have been sharing, and I thank you for engaging and putting in your comments and your aha moments. Even for those who are listening to this afterwards, we hope that you will also share in the comments some of the things that really stood out to you, some of the mentality changes that you look forward to working on as the new year is coming up. We like to create New Year's resolutions or goals or vision boards, whatever will help you to work towards changing your mindset for the new year. Like I said, before COVID 2019, going into 2020, we had one mentality, and now we are I know I personally, and a lot of people who I've spoken to right now are in a shift. They're in a battle with themselves spiritually, they're in a battle with themselves physically, because the life that they lived is not the life that they want. But they're in this place where they are trying to clarify what that looks like for them. And part of that is, like you said, is money, right? We can't move, we can't operate, we get sterilized because we have all of these things surrounding us that we haven't taken care of, we haven't put the energy into, like our budgeting, our savings, debt elimination, using credit cards frivolously, not focusing, literally every single day I would go look at my credit score for the entire length of COVID. And that helped me because it kept that type of mind, right? They say whatever you focus on grows. And it was like, look, I left COVID with a 800 credit score. And before that, I was definitely nowhere near that. I was well under the 550s. And it wasn't because more income was coming in. It was because I was using my finances properly. So thank you, Renee, for sharing all these great tips. We look forward to seeing you next week for our second Lunch and Learn. And thank you, everyone, for joining us. We appreciate you. Renee, do you have any last words before we go?
No, thank you very much. Please share this. There are so many of us who need this, and there's such a stigma around people who don't want to speak about their finances, but yet they need help and they don't know where to go. So share this with them. You don't have to tell them what it is or ask them any questions about it, but let them reach out and have their own questions answered directly.
I agree. And thank you very much, Renee. And I'll put you backstage and I'll be back shortly. So thank you all again. We really appreciate you. We look forward to seeing you next weekend at 12 o'clock sharp. Please tell a friend to tell a friend. We'll send out emails and notifications. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're also on YouTube. So please share the link for those to watch afterwards. Thank you again and enjoy. Bye.